So there's a story right now that's raising a lot of eyebrows on social media, has gotten a little bit of viral attention about how schools are operating. And when it comes to right now the electoral process, that's we're just shortly away from the election of Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump, or third parties if you go that direction, because yes, there are third parties in America. They don't want you to tell you that, but there are other alternatives outside of the duopoly. And it seems like schools are exposing themselves not so much as an educational institution and more an institution for indoctrination. So this got pointed out. This is from a woman by the name of Heidi St. John, and she stated a California mom is sounding the alarm over her daughter's elementary public school that her class is holding a mock election and bribing kids towards Kamala Harris with a pizza party. So she goes on to explain this, and supposedly she's a well-known podcaster in here's what she had to say about this.
Hey guys, so almost every day I get DMs from people who listen to my podcast who want me to know that the schools aren't nearly as woke as I keep saying that they are. You guys, there are so many activists who are disguised as teachers in our public school system right now that you have to be willfully ignorant not to see it. Check out this instance from a school in California that just held a mock election.
Do you guys think this is normal for them to bring politics into school? And if they vote for, I live in California, by the way, but if you vote for Kamala Harris, then you're going to get a pizza party. But if you vote for Donald J. Trump, apparently you are excluded.
They said that my teacher was screaming at us saying the other class was voting Trump. So they don't get to use the paper patches, not the school supplies for the girls. They don't get to use the computers, the chargers, or the, what's it called? The scrunchies, the deodorant, or stuff like that.
Okay, so you guys don't get to use this stuff. It's okay. And then what was it?
So put it into context there, that not only are they dismissing children and extorting them to vote for Kamala Harris in a mock election, which is indoctrinating them. It's not educating them about the governmental system, much like when I went to school and learned about government. You know, in about grade 5 here in Canada, we discussed about, you know, the parliamentary system, how there's 5, you know, political parties. This is kind of what they kind of represent. But we didn't go to the extortion level that California apparently is doing right now, where they're basically training kids to be upcoming Democratic voters and really just voters for the deep state. Because whether it being Kamala Harris or not, these schools are operating almost in the same function as the original founder, John Rockefeller, wanted to believe. That these kids are not going to get a proper education. They're not going to actually educate people on how to make an informed decision when it comes to voting. But no, you just got to fall into the trap of voting a certain way. It's the lesser of two evils. And if you disagree with that, we're going to extort that vote from you. Meaning that you don't, not only do you not get a pizza party, but you're not allowed to use school supplies. As a child is saying this to her mother. A child is saying this to her mother. They're not allowed to use school supplies. They're not allowed to use the art supplies. They're not allowed to use, like, I think she said, like, deodorant. She's not. So, like, isn't that just absolutely cringeworthy? Absolutely cringeworthy. To make you think, if they're doing this to young kids in a mock election, trying to teach kids about government, and they're extorting kids for a fake vote that has nothing to do with anything, what else are they doing in this school? And this is something that most people, if you're a parent, whether you're left-wing or right-wing, are concerned about education, regardless of where you are in the political sphere, regardless of what values you represent. Lots of people are concerned about education because your kids are being sent to these institutions, sent to these buildings for many hours of the day, and you don't know what's going on. You don't know where your tax dollars are paying towards. We know that schools are heavily underfunded, and they're not providing substantial education that most parents would like to give their children. But is this the education that they're giving to kids? You know, instead of teaching them the value of critical thinking, that, hey, you got to vote this way or you won't get a pizza party, extorting them from using school supplies. Wow. How far California has gone. I you know, it's not surprising coming from that state, but wow, how far that's gone. And the fact that a child is explaining this to a parent, that, hey, mom, I couldn't use any erasers or pencils or construction paper or scissors because I didn't vote the way they wanted me to. How's that going to look when they grow up to actually vote in general elections in America? Like, what is the purpose of this? And frankly, it's disturbing. So there's more to this.
About the pizza party.
That we don't get the pizza party because only the kids that only our class that voted Kamala get to eat the pizza party, but some of the kids didn't vote for Kamala, they voted for Trump.
You guys, you just can't make this stuff up. Be educated about what's happening in your schools, because your children are no longer being educated in the public schools. They're being indoctrinated into leftism.
So that's disturbing. That's a very disturbing take of it. I wouldn't say it's so much leftism as it is just deep state, this woke kind of culture that we're in right now, where you have to side with tyranny, you have to side with authoritarianism, and the reason why authoritarianism looks so favorable to most people is because they disguise it in all the woke ideologues and the LGBTQ mess, into the transgender movements, into the Black Lives Matter, the Anti-Racism Act. It makes it look favorable to people that don't understand what that actually leads you into. How the CIA, just because they hire a bunch of brown, transgender agents, doesn't excuse them from the heinous actions they still continue to commit on Americans and people around the world. So it's not so much a leftist thing as it is just a deep state policy, which if you go back to, again, John Rockefeller days, it's nice to see that schools are going back to their roots. Because they don't want smart people. They don't want educated populace. They don't want an educated peasantry. They just want you smart enough to work the machines, fix the cogs, fix the gears, that the system that oppresses you continuously continues to move. That's all this is about. And now they're just being open and honest about it. Extorting kids for a fake election so that they can be raised to love the deep state, to not be critical, not to be their own individual people and think for themselves. So this is Libs of TikTok. They're the ones that published this video. A California teacher allegedly had students do a mock vote for Trump or Harris, those who voted for Harris were rewarded with a pizza party, while those for Trump did not. So let's hear this again. Hear this again. This is absolutely crazy.
Do you guys think this is normal for them to bring politics into school? And if they vote for, I live in California, by the way, but if you vote for Kamala Harris, then you're going to get a pizza party. But if you vote for Donald J. Trump, apparently you are excluded.
They said that my teacher was screaming at us saying the other class was voting Trump. So they don't get to use the paper patches, not the school supplies for the girls. They don't get to use the computers, the chargers, or the the scrunchies, the deodorant, or stuff like that.
Okay, so you guys don't get to use this stuff. It's okay. And then
I don't know. Do teachers even bother to ask the kids why they voted for Donald Trump in this fake election? Did they ask the kids why they voted in the way they did? Maybe get to understand them a bit more. Maybe understand why people vote the way they do. Lessons that we should be teaching adults at this point. Rather than ridiculing and mocking them and saying, hey, how dare you vote this way? Because if you vote so-and-so, that means you're obviously this. That means you're obviously that. Maybe get to know that person and understand why exactly they're voting the way they're doing. Maybe get to understand why they come to the conclusion that they're voting this certain direction that is different from you. Because not everything is alike. Not everything is exactly like you. And if everything is supposed to be exactly like you, well, that kind of seems like a narcissistic personality disorder, if you think about it. And the fact that teachers are extorting kids, restricting them from a pizza party, but also school supplies for a fake election is just the utmost absurd thing for a school, for an educational institution to do.
What was it about the pizza party?
That we don't get the pizza party because only the kids only our class that voted Kamal get to eat the pizza party, but some of the kids didn't vote for Kamal, they voted for Trump.
So then what's going to happen to them?
They're not going to be included. Only the kids that voted for Kamal.
Hello.
So I had a couple questions for you.
So now that parent is going to call this teacher that is restricting kids from school supplies based off a phony election, which good on this parent to do. Good on this parent. Call up the teacher, find out what the hell is going on with the school, and this is what the teacher had to say.
So I heard that Giselle told me that you had mentioned that the kids that are not going to attend the pizza party are the kids who voted other than Kamala.
Wait, say it again?
That you had told the class that whoever votes for Kamala will get a pizza party, but those that don't will not be included in the pizza party.
For Harris?
Yeah.
What period is your daughter in?
I am not sure.
So I believe only one period 5, had a majority for Harris.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, and to follow that same spirit, because the Democrats are more for feeding the hungry, free medical care, feed more services, just pay higher taxes, that I'll be willing to buy pizza for the class.
Okay.
What did she say? Said
You are willing to buy pizza for the class for those who
This is the most crazy, cringeworthy thing to come out of a teacher for this. That because the students that voted for Kamala apparently are old enough to understand that the economic value of voting for Kamala Harris, paying for more taxes when people are starving on the streets, not to mention the fact that inflation has caused pizza prices to skyrocket, but apparently these kids are smart enough to be scolded to vote for Kamala Harris, and then smart enough to vote for Kamala Harris because the economic value of paying more taxes is going to afford a pizza party. These are children. These are children. Okay? These are young kids that are barely trying to understand government as is. And it's also it's shocking that even an elementary school is presenting government and is educating people on government, because a lot of these school districts refuse to do so. They've stricken civics classes out of schools. But the schools that surprisingly are teaching civics are doing it in this awful way. So it's just mind-boggling. It's so mind-boggling that teachers are doing this in California, extorting kids so that they can raise them to be future Democratic voters, instead of teaching them the importance of doing your own research, looking at all the facts, looking at all the track records. God forbid people do their own research and reading before they make a vote and have a conscious decision of who they're voting for. Maybe make them smart enough to understand that. Not smart enough that voting Kamala Harris is going to get you more pizzas. Go try to explain that to a youngster about that.
Win with Harris, right?
For those that voted for Harris?
Yeah.
Is she in period 5? If she's not in period 5, we're just doing a regular day.
Oh, okay. So
If she's in period 5, it's the entire class.
just at what period are you with this teacher? 5. So she is in period 5.
Okay. So I'm going to try for tomorrow for pizza, if not Friday.
So the other classes, because they did not vote for Harris, they're not gonna get pizza?
Yeah. Well, they can. They just do what the conservatives do, which pay for yourself.
Oh, that's fine. Can I take some pizza for those other classes?
Oh my God. This is wow. Whoever this teacher is, wow, give her the award of absurdity, arrogance. Yeah, conservatives can pay for themselves. That's your motto, right? Like, the mental gymnastics of people like this to defend extorting young kids to go in the routes that they want to go into this agenda, to raise them to be future, Kamala, Hillary, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, deep state voters. Because keep in mind, again, regardless if it's Kamala Harris or not, they want them to operate them to be future stars of the deep state. They want them to believe that, look at us, look at our, Malik disaster, tyranny deploying against the people, but we're so diverse of it. Think about it. A gay person in the military might be using lethal force against you, but it's a gay person, so you should feel proud. That's where we're raising kids to be. Instead of just being human beings with your own brains and using your own brains to come with your own conclusions. We can't teach critical thought or the importance of doing research so that you can have a healthy conscience to make your own decision on who best represents you. We can't do that to people, but we're going to extort them and bribe them with pizza. Because we're going to bribe the people to vote for Kamala for pizza, but extort the people that differ from that group without refusing them to give pizza or school supplies. Honest to God, this is just absolutely insane. And you wonder why people like Trump are critical about the Department of Education. You wonder why that conversation came up. Because it wasn't just off-the-spot randomness. It's not just Trump being like, I want to take control of all the education and squash it down. No, this has been a long time coming. This has been a long time coming, folks. The Department of Education on the federal level is just an absolute absurdity that maybe we need to reconsider the options. Maybe having the federal government in responsive education is not the smartest idea. Maybe bring it back to the state level. That's what we do here in Canada. The provinces are in control of education. Is it great? Not really. It's not, it's not worse, but it's also not better. But at least at the state level or the province level, you have more of a chance of saying, of having that ability to voice your opinions on education than you do from the federal level. You have a better understanding coming from the state level or municipal level than you do higher up in the political scale. So that's the thing to look at. And you wonder why Donald Trump made that assertion that we're going to delete the Department of Education. Because I can't believe this. I can't believe they would do this to young kids for a mock election. Mock election. Why do we even have the names of the actual participants running the election? Why not just teach them, this is Democrats, this is Republicans, these are independents. Like, I'm very confused of this. I'm very confused. I'm very frustrated in the fact that kids are being extorted like this, and then the kid has to tell her mother of what happened. The mother calls the teacher, and the teacher goes, yeah, that's what we did. Yep. We told them you can't use school supplies because, life sucks, and you got to vote my way. Wow. California, isn't it great?